where we might get an answer. Now, it's going to be tricky because if I make it up and it doesn't work, that's going to be annoying. So let me just think for a sec.
So what I did there was actually
That should have been a lot smaller. Let's try that and see for a second. Sine theta on 20 equals sine 10 on 5. Times it by 20. And then inverse sine. So theta equals inverse sine of all of this. Right? Any questions at this stage for that particular question? Can somebody tell me the answer? If there's no questions as well, just plug that into your calculator. And tell me the answer you get. So inverse sine of 20, sine 10, all over 5.
Do you want a nearest minute?
Just degrees, fine.
44 degrees.
44 degrees. And then what's 180 minus 44 now?
136.
136. Would 136 be correct? Well, it actually would. It can work because what's 136 plus 10? Only 146, which means if this guy was 146, 34 degrees, it actually can work. So guess what? Both answers work.
So Sam, we never assume like that it's an acute angle, even if it like looks really tiny.
Good point. Look, I'll be honest with you. If your teachers want to be sneaky, then they're actually looking for both answers. The reality is, at your grade, what they usually do is say, and you got to be very acute eyes here. It won't say find the value of theta. It'll actually say find the values of theta. That's something, but you have to have really acute eyes to realize that's a plural. And then what they're looking for, obviously, first that you know how to read, but secondly, that you actually identify the two values of theta, 1, 2. Now that's just being, like I said, pretty sneaky, but that's the way it's done, usually. Otherwise, generally speaking, you're only going to look for the acute angle. And then they will usually ask you, hey, go and find the obtuse angle. But if I wanted to be pretty sneaky, I could just say, find the values of theta. And then what you're meant to realize is, oh, hold on, 44 works. Yep, no problems. But then also the obtuse angle actually does work in this case, but it probably won't work for a case like that we have here. And let's see why.
Let's
sort it out. Yep.
Can I just ask before you move on?
Yeah.
You've got 34 in the triangle, and it would only work with 34.
I worked that out. I worked that out because if it's going to be an angle sum of a triangle, as long as that becomes 34, it's actually possible.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's 146. That means this can actually work out. It's physically possible. Whereas if we go up, wait, where is it? This one here, when I had 155, it's physically impossible to get a triangle with 155 and 40 degrees. Make sense?
Yeah.
So physically impossible. This one, technically, it's possible. So it's possible for this triangle. So just so you understand it even better. All right. What triangle did I have? 10 degrees, 5, 20. All right. 10 degrees, 5, 20, and if this was 44, right? This was 44, what must this angle be? So that's 54, and then that means this angle here must be 180 minus 54,
26.
126. Of course, I can't even count anymore. But you get the idea? As long as that occurs, so I mean it'll be a very wide looking triangle, this can work. Or if I had, again, same thing, if I had 20, 10, and 5, actually 136 can even work here. So which won't look so acute anymore. It'll look like this all of a sudden. All right, 136. This would still be 20. This would still be 5. This would still be 10 degrees, which means this angle in here will be 34 degrees, the angle that I said up here. If that's the case, well then guess what? This triangle also works. So this triangle works and this triangle works. They're obviously two different triangles, but the angles both would allow you to have this angle as 10 degrees, this side as 20, this side as 5. This angle is 10, side is 20, side is 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
100%?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But with this one that we're going to do now, you guys will realize, yes, you can get multiple thetas. It's not a problem. You can get different answers, but one of them just won't work out for a triangle. So again, let's have a look. Sine theta on 49 equals sine 61 on 58 times by 49 and then inverse sine it. So what's the answer we're looking for? Inverse sine of 49 sine 61 on 58. Somebody, again, plug that into their calculator.
48 degrees.
Sorry, what was that?
48 degrees.
48 degrees. And then again, what's 180 minus that?
132.
132. So we've got an answer of 48 and 132. Would 132 work in here? Well, again, 132 plus 61. Ah, crap, we're too big again. So this one, unfortunately, just won't work in this case. But I can make cases where they can both work, as you just saw. And I think what you guys can realize, I think maybe Yusuf realized that if this angle is small, technically you probably can get two angles in. You can get the acute angle in and the obtuse angle. If this angle is big, you're probably not going to be very successful, as you can understand why. All right, back to you guys. Questions? Okay, good. Now, I spoke about waves. What you got to understand is the application's endless. Here's another one. Ready? What about if I'm a, I don't know, I'm a cricket player, right? And let's just say I'm here, really bad drawing, I know. And somebody throws the ball and then I hit it and I would like to work out, well, assuming it becomes a sine curve or a cos curve, I am making some assumptions. But again, you can kind of see I can work out my maximum points, which is my high tide. I can work out my lowest point. Obviously hit the ground, whatever, high point, high point, and it just keeps bouncing until it stops, technically, right? See, there's another application for trig. Sound waves in music and whatnot have trig functions. So trig applications are huge. Just saying, like, you can't just assume just because you've been working it all out always for one thing that it only exists for the one thing. And hopefully, even that square root -1 application, it makes you realize, wow, there's a whole lot out there that I still don't know. That's it. You'll be forever learning. Cool. Any other questions? Does that answer that? Kind of killed two birds with the one stone, because I showed the working out and what I needed to talk about with this question.